Hello, you guys. I hope everybody is doing well. I found it appropriate to make a video like this as there are a lot of single people in the world, you know. And this can extend outside of romance, but it's going to be primarily centered on romantic relationships. But I know there's a lot of people who are, you go through so many destructive relationships and toxic relationships, you really start to question your ability to pick for yourself. And I see one of my day ones, Cherry 48196. Hey, girly, how are you doing? I see that cheerful hey. Welcome to the live stream. But yeah, when you've gone through a lot of situations, it's normal. We're all human to even question your ability to pick out a person. So in this live chat, you guys, and I don't have a lot written down. So, a lot of this is just going to be a natural conversation for me. But we're going to talk about how to choose better and pick better. But I do have to make a disclaimer because I do. It's always good. Choosing better, you guys, doesn't mean choosing perfect. Okay? Like you're not even perfect. Nobody's perfect. But when I say choosing better and picking better, it means minimizing or possibly eliminating you choosing a narcissist. And then if one slips through the crack, you're going to catch it and you're going to do what you need to do to wrap that up and send them along their way. You know what I mean? Because people slip through the cracks too. But catching it quick before you get emotionally tied, before you make higher level commitments, before you start having children, before you get neck deep in with somebody, that counts too. All right, so that's what I mean about choosing better and picking better. All right. Also, choosing better is going to also, it stems from you choosing yourself. Okay, so of course it sounds like something external. Yeah, I'm choosing better people to be around me, but your ability to do that is going to come first and foremost from you choosing yourself. You being able to advocate for yourself, to know you, to have self-awareness, and to know where you've been slipping up in the past, and to be able to take those lessons with you and be mindful about that moving forward. All right, so if you're doing that type of work with yourself, you're automatically going to be putting yourself, giving yourself a better opportunity or a better odds at choosing better people. All right. If you have codependency issues, you're going to have to address that, because how can you be selective if you're too needy for the connection to begin with? So we have to get out of energies of neediness, of desperation, and codependency. So those type of things need to be addressed because it's going to get in the way of your decision making. All right. And as a matter of fact, this ties into something that I definitely wanted to talk to you guys about, a chain of thought, or basically a way that you can mentally start thinking about how you want to pick and choose people to be in your life. Because when you're operating out of codependency, chances are you're thinking about your preferences and your wants at that point. All right. When you really need to be thinking about your priorities and your needs. So let's just set up some categories here. If you were to take a sheet of paper, you can think about your preferences versus your priorities. You could think about your wants versus your needs. And you can think about what's a bonus and what's a plus versus what's a requirement. When we're operating oftentimes out of our toxicity, we're not really considering our priorities, or basically the priorities, we're taking preferences and making those priorities. And it's all stemming from toxicity. The priority isn't to protect your peace. The priority isn't, being in a healthy relationship. Is I want to be in a relationship. by any means necessary type of thing, you know, and it's trumping your needs and your priorities and what should be your requirements. And a lot of times you might not even be thinking about what those things are. So, one thing that I would definitely suggest is to get organized and do a little homework and really think about, because this is a big deal, you know, especially when we're talking about the realm of romantic relationships. We're talking about, for those that want to get married, we're talking about lifelong commitments. We're talking about having children. So, yeah, why can't we really dissect this and try our best to be as insightful as we can? Go into it organized with a plan. Because even though, you know, romantic relationships, yeah, they're going to eventually tap on your emotions and your heart. It should actually be a very logical process in the beginning. And people get that part wrong as well. Going into something emotionally, that should be actually very logical. And I've talked about this over the last couple of weeks, where we're leading with our heart in situations that will be tethered to or connected to the heart. Like, just because it's, you know, connected to the heart, like this is going to be romantic. So we're thinking about love that doesn't even exist yet. You guys don't love this person yet. You don't even know him. So what should be leading the way right now? Your logic, right? So even in that, you guys, having a certain type of approach. Don't be approaching situations with your feelings. Early on, when you are vetting somebody and getting to know them, no matter how good they are making you feel, you know, because we don't even know if they're love bombing. And this isn't to make you suspicious and not be able to enjoy the process, but it is to make sure that you're not prematurely attaching to people, and which is going to make you overextend stuff to them that they're not worthy to have just at this point. You know, they're not worthy, because now you're going to start trusting them. Like, you know, someone's ability to make you feel good, honestly, that could be very shallow, to tell you the truth. But what do you really need for a long-term relationship that is going to eventually phase out of the honeymoon phase, where you guys are going to have real life to deal with, and bills and children and animals and pets and mortgages, and you're going to have all these really serious things going on, which is going to probably zap the romance out of it at times, you know? So what you really need to be focused on, can I communicate with this person? Is this person respectable and responsible? Are they ready emotionally to take on all of this? And what would that look like? Like, these are the things and that's logic stuff. That's logic. So we cannot lead with the feelings. And, you know, especially women, toxic women, unevolved women who don't know any better, we fall in love with what we hear, when we need to be looking at what this person can produce. Where is this person right now? Stop going off of, what's the word I'm looking for, Cherry? We can't go off of what could be. There's a word for it. But we need to be focused off of where the person is right now. You know, it's very nice to see a person, well, they're here now, but if they keep doing this, I could see them going far. But really just start looking at where a person is right now. Potential. Thank you, Arbon, sorry. You're correct. The word is potential. Yes, thank you for that. And the what is. Yes, honey. Yes. So, yeah, let's not look at potential of people. That should be risky, especially if you've had narcissistic abuse relationships. Haven't you been through enough? Like, right now, you just need somebody to be ready. And hopefully you're ready too. Like, don't you be the toxic one. Please don't. But let them be ready, you guys, in a ready position. And that's okay. You don't have to be patient with anyone that's not ready, because you're taking a gamble. And time is something you cannot get back, especially if you are a woman. Okay? If you're a woman, and time generally doesn't go in our favor. So you don't want to waste times with if and buts and maybes and potential that may never manifest. All right. So get you a piece of paper and really treat it serious, and think about, what are your priorities? if you could list at least 5 of your priorities, these are things that are, a must have. And it's no way that you're going to let anybody get to from A to B with you without them having your priorities met in that relationship. So I'll give you 3 of mine, 3 out of 5 of mine. Respect. I need to know that this person understands what respect is. I need to see consistency with the person, and stability means a whole lot to me. So that's 3 of my 5, you guys. Now you can sit and determine what these things look like for you. All right. Because yes, I need reliability. I need certainty. I need follow through. I don't want to what if. I need actions and words to match consistently, not just through a love bomb phase, not just long enough to where you think you got me in the palm of your hands and now I see the real you. I need to see this over time. All right. So a lot of times when we're in our toxicity, we're not really focused on what should really be our priorities at that point. And yes, non-negotiable are our bond. Non-negotiable are not negotiable. Yes, things that just aren't negotiable. And when you see that this person doesn't have these things, it's not up to you to help them have it either. It's up to you to make that readjustment. Like they're disqualified. They're disqualified, you guys. So yes, write down what your priorities are. And if you need another word for it, your needs. What are your needs versus your wants? Yes, you want someone that's 6'6", but what do you really need? If a man meets all of your qualities, or a person, for my male subscribers, if she meets all your qualifications, but they're not 6'6", they're 5 foot or 6 feet. Like, would you just not care about it? You're going to discard all of that goodness because they didn't meet your height requirement. And I'm not saying that you have to go from 6'6" to a little person. I'm not, trying to be extreme with it here, but understand, you guys, what your needs are versus your wants. Because in relationships, will we get 100% of everything we want from anybody when it comes to that? No, we won't, you guys. And that's why you hear things about the 80-20 rule. And some people might say 90-10. And it gets in the way of relationships over time when people take for granted what they do have. And they end up leaving the person that's giving them like 80% of what they desire, because that 20% seems to be bigger than the 80%. But then after they jump to the 20%, they realize they lost 80%. So it's like, don't be that person. I started the conversation talking about choosing better doesn't mean choosing perfect. But, understand that when you're getting enough of your needs met, when the priorities are there, they're getting the needs, and they may not have all your wants, but they're carrying the needs and the priorities. They're meeting your requirements. That's why a job posting might have some requirements, and I'll be like, well, it's a bonus and a plus if you can do these things too, but we need you to be able to do this. That's how you need to be when you are figuring out what type of person, is acceptable for you and not. And hopefully doing this out of your emotional maturity. All right. So just having the right mentality and having done the work on yourself is going to be great. Being past your past is going to be great as well. Yep. And then, being willing to walk away is important. Being willing to let go, being willing to stand on your needs and your priority. Like Arbonne said, not negotiable, It's going to safeguard you from the people who can't give you what you need and what's a priority to you. You have to safeguard yourself, but you can't if you start being flexible with it, or you're too fleshful, or you're too, if there's something about you that you need to check that's going to prevent you from being able to protect yourself properly. Because that could be a new thing. When you've been in a lot of toxic relationships, with toxic people and narcissists, you realize you weren't really protecting yourself well, and you may not even be used to doing that, You may be too used to putting other people's feelings before yours, not wanting to shake the boat, operating out of the codependency, like I said. So, yeah. Aw. Hi, Arban. Are you new to the channel? And thank you for your donation. I appreciate it. Listening with your daughter. How old is your daughter, by the way? Yeah, because your name, I'm not used to seeing it that much. But thank you for your donation. Yeah, absolutely. It's important because, especially if your goal is to get a husband and a good one. But I'll wait and see if you wanted to send me those, details, how old your daughter is. She's 21. Awesome. So this is a good time for her. This is an excellent time. And hopefully you've been talking to her along the way. But yeah, it's okay to be picky. Don't worry about hurting other people's feelings. Everybody's feelings is going to get hurt if you end up marrying someone that's less than what God wants for you and you guys have a family. You know how devastating divorce is on a family? It hits everybody involved. Everybody. Okay. Haven't been on a live in a while. All right. Well, at least you caught this one. So it's okay. You got to think about everything. Don't just even think about yourself right now. Think about your future kids. Like the decisions that you make right now is really going to impact your life greatly. Think about not wanting to be a single mother. So it's really important that you go into it. And and honestly, you guys, what I will also say is you can attempt to do everything correctly and still end up in a situation. But at least, we're just trying to give ourselves the best advantages. At least if you've done this with a good man or someone that is a good provider and a protector, at least you'll walk away with something if that's the case, even though I don't want that for you. But at least you didn't just randomly, you're not out here running around unconsciously and just letting anyone put seeds up in you and all types of stuff and putting yourself into situations you don't want to be in. It's okay to be selective, you guys. You might have to toss back a lot of frogs, but toss them back. It doesn't have to, they don't all need to be experiencing you. Toss them back in that way, where you're interviewing them, basically, you're vetting them, you're finding out what you need to know, you're picking up on what's being said and what's not being said, and you're willing to let it go when you see that that's not it. Another thing that I do, you guys, is I always, because I am spiritual, I'll ask God to reveal to me. I ask him in the beginning. People love to run to God when things hit the fan. But if you are spiritually grounded, which I highly recommend in this world full of spiritual attacks, bring it to him even before you even start the search. Let him know your desires, even though he knows, but pray and meditate on it. I want a husband or I want a wife, and these are the qualities that I'm looking for. Can you help me be in position? Can you help me be seen so that my husband can find me? Can you help me? This is good. This is a good type of conversation to have with your maker. Work on me, God, so that I can be a good wife. Help me know what I need to be doing. You could pray for a husband that's not even in front of your face now. People have done that as well. Praying for the other person, whatever they're going through right now. Can you help them in their healing process, God? Or can you open doors or bring them close or, help move this along so that I can unite with them? You can pray for that person. You can. All right. And then just also taking time to understand what a healthy relationship should look like. To me, healthy relationships are sums of deposits and withdrawals. We're pouring into the person and we're taking out of the person. But the problem is, when we're doing this with toxic people, what are they pouring into you and what are they taking out of you? It's very lopsided in those situations. And that's why you end up feeling drained. this person is withdrawing from you emotionally and physically and financially and psychologically, and they're pouring into you poison. That's the drama and the chaos and the stress, and just, not being equally yoked with that person. But if you get to a place where you wouldn't even allow someone to do this to you, like, it's not even going to get off the ground. It's not even going to get off the ground. And then you'll be in a healthy situation where you're both depositing and withdrawing from each other, and even with interest. It's not really a tit for tat. Like, I know for me, like, people put into me, like, when I get to that level with someone, whatever someone blesses me with or pours into me, it blesses them back 100-fold. And you're with another person that feels like that don't play about you, and that's willing, that sees how you don't play about them, and you guys are there for each other. It's a beautiful thing, and it does exist out here. It's just a lot of times those couples kind of hide out. They don't need to flaunt it on social media. They're somewhere just living a happy, peaceful life on the cut, because they understand that it's best to keep people out of their business as well. And that's something else that you could do, especially once this person has a lot of potential. Be careful who you put in the midst of you guys, because people do evil eye and ill will. You can go find threads of women who are in happy relationships, and they will tell you really quickly how jealous people are of them. They covet that. But the crazy thing is, they don't even know, first of all, what's for someone is for someone. But even in situations where that woman went through a lot of horrific relationships and she finally got into a healthy one, what? And people will still hate on her. They'll forget, like, have amnesia. Like, look, I just spent a decade, or X amount of times being drugged through the ringer and stuff. And people will still hate on that person when they get a good person. So once you get that healthy relationship, you definitely want to protect it and nurture it. And I would probably be very quiet initially about it. Like, I'm the type of person, unfortunately, I might not even show this person until I'm married to them. I know. And it's really crazy that you kind of have to be like that. But a private life really is a happy one. So be careful. Be careful, especially those of you who felt like you've been in situations where the relationship was going really good, and you start telling certain people about it, and then you find you and your partner is arguing. Someone's probably evil eyeing it and praying against it, which is really evil, but it's real. So share at your own, what is the word, you guys? Help me today. Discretion. That's the word. Share at your own discretion. We need to look for the actions too. I don't want you guys to get played. So just be careful of someone that's making a lot of promises and writing checks that they can't cash. Because some people, it just sits on the tongue and it doesn't go past that. They're and this person to end up future faking with you and pushing things back. Well, let's see how things go in 6 months. Maybe we can get engaged, and they're giving you the timeline, and then maybe when it's getting close to the timeline, they're pushing it back some more. Like, don't let anybody play with your time. As a matter of fact, it's good to have a time frame in your mind, because as much as people play dumb, most people, men, I've watched a lot of surveying of men. A lot of men knew they met their wife like the first time they laid eyes on her. Like, seriously, I've seen it time and time again. They'd be like, well, I knew when I met her. Now, their process to actually letting her know that depended on the man. But a lot of them, they said they knew from the first time they laid eyes on the woman. So don't let a man take precious years out of your life and drag his feet with you. Now, I come from a very strict background at this point where I don't I don't advocate for the premarital sex, and I don't even advocate for kissing and stuff. And I know some of you are like, what? Yeah, I converted to being a Muslim, so my ideas with that are very strict. Very strict. But you guys, I've tried things the Western way, and I've even I was born into Christianity, so I have a lot to compare it to. I like the way that the Muslim guide is, honestly, and I know that you guys may not be Muslim, but yeah, don't let anybody use you and use your body. Okay, good. Cynthia Avis says she agrees. Great that she doesn't like doing the premarital sex. Mm-hmm. And she's celibate in her dating life. Good. I think that's good because it's true. Like men, they will get comfortable, especially if they're getting, if they're able to get from you what they would have to earn through marriage. Then you're right. They don't really get that motivated to settle down. Although of course you need somebody to settle down with you because they want to settle down. But when you're giving it away so loosely like that, there isn't an incentive. Because what else is there to look forward to? And to most men, marriage is like a piece of paper to them. Is the marriage thing is a lot of time what the woman wants, And when a man wants to tap into her and get deeper into her, he'll go through with that because he wants it that bad. And that's kind of how it is for the way that men think. So, yeah. But, yep. What can I say? Or what can we talk about, you guys? As far as the choosing and picking better, we talked about making a list, knowing your preferences versus your priority and not running off of the preferences. We talk about knowing what the needs are versus the wants. We talked about understanding withdrawals and deposits into relationships. And doing the work on yourself so that you would be more confident and secure. Because honestly, the more that you are secured within yourself, the more you're going to demand for yourself. Like you're going to want the world given to you in a certain manner. And that's okay. I shared with you guys 3 of my 5 priorities or things that I need, which is respect. And you should need these things too. Like disrespect should be an automatic disqualification because that, speaks to a person's character. And especially for those of you who have experienced the disrespect of narcissistic abuse, like nobody should get a pass at disrespecting you on any level. All right. So what I also have, you guys, but I think that should be more so another live chat, is basically advice to people. Well, you know what? No, I think we can talk about it now because why I think, taking classes and getting enlightenment before marriage is important as well. Like you shouldn't get married and then try to find out what these things are. I'm going to share with you a list that I heard, a really good list of tips on how to be a good wife too. All right. For those of you who are, preparing for a healthy relationship and knowing what's important to a man. And this I learned from another man. So this isn't from me. I think it's good to hear a man's perspective on what men are looking for in relationships. So I got this information, you guys, from a man's mouth. That's very, that I have a lot of respect for. Okay. So the 10 things that he said that he would advise for women in healthy relationships is to know how to respect a man, because love does go in and out of relationships. But respect is really important to a man. As a matter of fact, he might not even care about having your love, but he wants your respect at all times. So if you want to have a husband, you have to know how to respect a man. Now, and we're talking about a real man, not a narcissist. So you might have been used to flying off the handle with a narcissist, talking to him all crazy because he was talking to you all crazy. But we're getting out of that energy now, and we're talking about an actual man that you can actually respect. You know, that's doing right by you, stepping up for you, and you're going into marriage with him. You're going to have to know how to be respectful. That means if you have a mouth, hopefully you don't, knowing how to speak to someone when you're angry or not feeling good, or somebody makes you upset, because that's the strong person. A weak person just flies off their emotion, and we're all pegged as being emotional, some more than others. But you got to learn how to watch your mouth. So respect is important. If you want to keep a husband, a good one, okay, you don't want to sabotage that healthy relationship, you're going to have to know how to respect a man and know how much respect means to a man, okay? The next thing the guy said was appreciation. Sometimes it's very easy, especially, if he's paying all your bills, he's taking care of you and the kids, and he's doing this day in and day out. A lot of times this is a thankless job, just like vice versa. When a woman is tending to the house and cooking and cleaning, that could be a thankless job as well. But it's important to understand that you need to show appreciation to your husband. Appreciate the little things, because that's what's being done every day. And he's going to work. It's those little things that's adding up to the bigger pieces of the pie. Every day he's protecting and providing. Every day he's showing up for you guys. So appreciate that. The way that you greet your husband when he comes home, right? You're setting the tone for the whole rest of the evening, child. Like, try to make that a cheerful greet, especially for those of you who are in situations to where, like in a Muslim community, the man has to provide that for you. A woman's money is her money, but a man, he is obligated to pay, the living expenses, the food and clothing. He's obligated to maintain you. He's basically obligated to give you hypergamy. He is obligated for that. So if you're in those situations, or for whatever it is, he's a good man. He's showing up for you. He's providing and protecting. Appreciate it. And not just once in a while. Because sometimes we appreciate it, but we have a poor way of showing it. If you're not the most emotional and expressive person, and especially if, you came from situations where you didn't come from a loving home. You guys weren't affectionate. You didn't get a lot of compliments. You're not even used to this type of energy. And then you went and dealt with all these narcissists and these losers and these man-childs, okay? So when you actually get a good man, show the appreciation on a regular basis. Show appreciation, words of appreciation, words of acknowledgement, show that you value it. It's the highest form of praise that you can give to a man, and there's confirmation. Because what happened is he'll start resenting you and resenting caring for you because he doesn't feel appreciated for it. Men are human beings too. And it's not like you have to stroke his ego like a narcissist, but this is just common courtesy. If someone does something for me, I do say thank you. It's just common manners, really. It's common manners. And it's also making that deposit. We were talking about the deposits earlier. So he's withdrawing from himself to deposit into you guys' comfort and stability and this and that. Now you got to make a deposit too. It's just balancing it out, you guys. And it's not really withdrawing nothing from you because he's putting into you right then and there. You know what I mean? Like, he's putting in anyway. So whatever you're putting in, you guys are it's a compliment, So show appreciation. Don't take those things for granted. Remember the times when you dealt with a narcissist, the people that wasn't nothing. You know what I mean? Like, have the appreciation, you guys. All right. Another thing is to listen to understand versus to respond. All right. And especially if you're an empath, we want to fix the world problems, and, you know, we're just trying to wait to jump in to see how we could fix the problem, especially the woman. Like, you could rest in your femininity with a good man, honestly. And he really just wants to be heard, even if you don't agree. You know, you can listen to him. He's talking about something. It could be a concern or how his day went. Or even if it's a concern and you have a difference of an opinion, you can at least say, I hear you. I heard you. You can verify that part instead of talking over and, you know, making a person not feeling heard. A man wants to feel heard. And that goes back to the respect. He wants to feel heard. And you can do that in your emotional maturity, even if you don't agree with the man. You know, the first thing out of your mouth shouldn't be how you don't agree. You can at least say, well, I heard you, or you have been heard. That was the exact phrase the man said. Just say this to him. You have been heard. You know, and then you could go around to, if you have something else to add to it, you know, I heard what you're saying. The way I see it is this way, you know, and we're not loud. We're not over talking. We're not, you know, disrespectful about it. And yesterday I was talking about fighting fair in relationships. And when you're with a narcissist, it might have trained you to, you know, always be on the defense and just think the worst of people and always be so suspicious. I mean, if you've made it to the level of marriage with this person, you should be able to rest. You should not have to be on guard like you're just meeting the person for the first time. All right. The man also said to leverage your sexual intimacy. Yeah. You guys are women, particularly, you guys are the gatekeepers of that. Leverage your sexual intimacy with him because, you know, men typically love sex. Yeah, that's a pretty good generalization there. So leverage it with him. You know, you guys have a happy, healthy sexual life. That's going to flow over. He's going to have more pep in his step. You know, zhuzh it up, make it fun. You know, I'm sure you could put on some lingerie for your husband. Yes, not for just any old Joe, but leverage it for sure. The man also said to put distance in between you and him. And I know y'all like, wait a minute. Not too much, just a little bit. Meaning like most men don't like clingy women. All right. So whatever you guys got going on, you have your thing going on. He has his thing going on. You're not up each other's tushes 24 hours a day. Like, don't crowd him because that little bit of distance actually draws him near you. And this goes back to the rubber band effect that people have been talking about since the 70s and how men need to miss you a little bit sometimes. You know, it doesn't mean that you avoid your husband's calls or, you know, stuff like that. It just means you don't have to check in with him every half an hour of the day. You know, you guys can go a few hours without talking. And then maybe by the end of the day, like, I missed you all day. I missed you too. You know, it could be something just that simple, but don't smother him, basically. And sometimes when it feels good, it's like a drug. It becomes a drug to us, and we just want more and more and more, but we're not realizing that we're smothering him. So be careful with that. You know, when you finally do get somebody that's loving you correctly, you're going to just want to really, you're going to really want to jump into that, but you're going to have to pace yourself and keep pacing yourself, because then you're protecting the relationship from codependency at that point. All right. The next thing the man said was to love him for who he is versus what he can do for you. Now, of course, all of us women, we want a provider. And, you know, once you know what he makes and he can provide for you, that's beautiful. And that makes him look more appealing. But actually get to know your husband as a person, so that when you're talking to him and interacting with him, it's not just based off of what bills need to be paid and this and that. He knows these bills need to be paid, especially if they're reoccurring. Okay. So, you know, really let him be seen as a human being and not just an earning machine. Okay. And I know like men are expected to provide, and that ain't going to never change. But, there's a way to finesse it to where he doesn't feel like that's all you talk to him about. Okay. Men that provide, they pay attention to that. So just keep that in mind. Think about who he is. And it kind of gravitates into the next thing, which the man said, which is to be his friend. And that's more than just his lover. So don't just look at yourself as, this sexual being with him, but, actually be his friend where you guys can goof around and joke and laugh and, you know, yes, it's a queen and a king, but you guys need to have a friendship too. The friendship to me, it gets relationships through all types of pickles and ups and downs. It's because you have that friendship there during times where you could be too sick to even be sexual, but you guys have the friendship. You still have other things in common outside of the bedroom and some children, you know? You have his mind on a lot of different levels at that point, and that's a beautiful thing. What you should be doing anyway when you're vetting, like it goes from vetting, you guys start building trust and building a friendship with each other right then and there. So that should have been happening before the marriage anyway. But if you are married and you feel like you haven't tapped into this, it's never too late, to be better in that way. Okay. The next thing, and this is a big one, honey. This is a big one. He said to be confident. Work out your insecurities before, okay? Before you get with him. And this is what we talked about way in the beginning, because I was like, to even have a better picker and to choose better, you need to address yourself first. This is not that man's job to do, to build up your confidence and to let you know that you're the ish and that you're beautiful. Like he could tell you these things, but you should already be feeling it inside, filling up your own cup so that you're not draining this poor man. Like you don't want to do that. He shouldn't have to become your therapist per se, because you've had all of these toxic relationships and you haven't done enough work to where you could be a healthy person. Because sometimes, you guys, when we've been through a lot of trauma, we have work to do with ourselves. Of course, the narcissist does, and those toxic people that kind of traumatize us many times, right? Yes, they do. But we're just talking about you right now. You have to cleanse yourself and do the work as well. It is not that healthy person. Like if he's already coming to you with his, generally speaking, with his insecurities in check, or he's worked on himself, he's not going to be needy and extreme, but you'll come off that way. You'll come off that way if you keep referencing your past. Be like, man, if you keep comparing him to them, like, wow, like like just let it go. Like, don't even talk about it. Work on yourself, you guys. Build yourself up so that you won't be draining a healthy person yourself, because you'll do it unintentionally. You might not even mean to do this to him. But if you don't get yourself in check, and do enough work to where it's not to your detriment, because like I said, nobody's perfect. So just be careful with that, okay? Be confident. Men love confidence anyway. All right? Love yourself for who you are and where you are. Appreciate all the work that you've done to get in your journey. Feel worthy of the good man, We could say that as well. Feel worthy of him. You deserve it. You need to feel that in your heart and all your essence, okay? All right? So that you won't be self-sabotaging it and draining him out and then pushing him away. And then you wonder why, like, it's just fizzling out, The next thing, this is important too. And a lot of toxic people do this in relationship, and you really got to be careful about it. Don't write checks that you can't cash. And we're going to explain what that means. Like, don't be saying, I want a divorce. You have a bad argument. I want a divorce. Like, it just slips out of your mouth. I don't need you. Like, you don't never, it's certain boundaries that you want to have with that person and that you don't want to cross. And yesterday, I think we were talking about it in that live chat, how I said the dangers of having conflict with a toxic person and how they have absolutely no boundaries. Like they'll say anything, but it's just certain things that you would never want to do. Because how many times is a good person going to put up with hearing that? I want a divorce. I don't need you. Because again, you may have been programmed through those other toxic relationships and they trained you to, be in that type of energy and argue this type of way. That's not the way that you want to argue in a healthy relationship or when you want to foster a healthy marriage. Neither one of you should be throwing divorce on the table. That's just something that you don't want to come out of your mouth. All right. You might say something else, but you don't want to say stuff like that. I want a divorce and I don't need you, because unless you mean it, okay, because you will be very sour if one day, like you've said this too many times and the person actually, because that hurts the other person's feeling too. That'll hurt his feelings. And trust me, especially if he's a good man, he got women hitting on him all day. And I'm not saying this to put you in any type of fear, but good people have options. Now, how many of them are good, I don't know. He's going to have to really discern that part about it. But if you have something to offer, and even if you see, you'll get attention as well. Anybody that's beautiful, anyone that's about something in life, you're always going to have options, whether you're married or not. So you don't know how many women, but I'll say more so with the man because the numbers are lopsided. I think there's more women than there are men. So if he's an actual good one, he's an actual good husband, and this is common knowledge, you don't know how many women may be trying to vie for him when he's away from you. There's confirmation. So, it's just certain things that you don't want to do. I mean, if people are going to leave, they're going to leave. And people can't take something that's not yours, but you can push people away. You can do that. If you guys have arguments and you want him to go stay outside the house type of thing, oh no, don't do that. That's dangerous because he could fall into the arms of, have a weak moment. And well, I know you're like, don't call it a weak moment, Lakia. All I'm saying is we don't want to make a concoction of anything that's going to like push him away and make him susceptible to fall for lust or anything, okay? Out of his, I don't know, not making a good decision. I don't know what word I'll say for that. Let me see something real quick. The number one thing he said, you guys, can someone guess what the number one thing is that he said? I'm going to give it 1 minute to see if somebody can guess what the number one advice that this man gave for women to have, at least playing their part. You can't play your husband's part. He has to do his too. It's always going to take two. But what do you think is the number one thing, advice that he gave to women to have a successful marriage? Anybody want to take a guess on it? While you guys take a guess, I'll go down. I'm going to go down what we already said. He said, number 10, to have respect. Number 9, to show appreciation. Number 8, not to smother him. Number 7, listen to understand versus respond. Number 6, to leverage your sexual intimacy. Number 5, learn how to love him for who he is versus what he can do for you. Number 4, be his friend. Number 3, be confident and work out your insecurities before the relationship. Or if you're doing it during the relationship, fine, but he's not catching the wrath of it. Number 2, don't write checks you can't cash, meaning blurting out things in the heat of the moment that you cannot take back, and that will devastate your relationship. So what do you guys think is number 1? Number 1 that you could do to play your part in your marriage and, keeping it healthy. All right. I don't see any guesses. Don't see any guesses. Well, the number one thing, you guys, is to be his peace. Being his peace, you guys. Being his peace and not his problem. Being his peace and not his storm. You know? You don't want him to be dreading to come home or feel like it's always one thing after another. Or it's always something. Or that, like I said, the lack of appreciation. Be his peace and not his problem. And this goes with making him coming home to you guys' castle, or, it's his castle he's providing for the family, a great experience. Set the tone for the rest of the evening. So being somebody's peace, all right? And that goes both ways. This person should be adding to your peace as well, but you should be adding to their peace. Right now, I was really just addressing being a good wife, I've listened to this person spit out the details on the guy's end too. I don't know if you guys want me to share that with you though. Let me know. Let me know if you want me to share the list with you real quick of what the men should be doing. It'll also let you know what to be looking out for, right? Minimally. Let me know if you want me to tell you that. Somebody comment. I'll do it if somebody comments to share it. So these have been some really good lives, over the last 3 or 4. They just tied in really well with relationships. All right, so I guess I won't be sharing that. No one has told me to share it, so I won't go into the men part of it, or what they should be doing. But yeah, choosing better, it doesn't have to be complicated, you guys, and it doesn't have to be hard. It's really, to me, it's going to be like preparation meets opportunity. You've prepared yourself, you know your worth, you know what you need and what your priorities are, and you know what your wants are too. But you're not confusing the two, and you're standing on it, and you're okay with letting go of the people that aren't meeting those bare bone minimals. They aren't meeting your needs. All of that, not having your needs met, that should be for the past. Like, never, ever go into that situation again, because you're blocking yourself. You're blocking yourself. But I also talked about not expecting perfection, which is why I just told you to go ahead and make the list. Make the list of those priorities. I told you I had like a list of 5. So, yeah. Yeah, and I also would say, be mindful about not going backwards as well. Like, be careful about the merry-go-round. Like, this person has changed now and yada, yada, yada. A lot of times they'll come to intercept your new growth or a better relationship. So be very careful of that. Don't let a toxic person or person that had an opportunity with you in the past, right? Don't let them come back for another chance. I'm a huge advocate on this channel of just moving forward and starting fresh with someone new, and not somebody that took advantage of you in the past. Like, they seen your worth, they seen your efforts, and they completely took it for granted. Like, that person does not deserve another opportunity with you. Don't let them re-trigger a trauma bond with you and try to coerce you or convince you of anything. It's really the exception in those type of cases. Yes, we do hear couples that said, yeah, this happened 5 years later, we came back together and we're still together today, but these are exceptions. And especially if this person was a narcissist, oh no. No, no, no. No, I would not give them another chance. So be careful with that. And just, a lot of us may not even know what love looks like. That's something to talk about as well. Just knowing what love actually looks like and how it operates. And that's why I had to lean into respect, because when you guys are going in and out of feeling in love with each other, the respect is always there. And that's a beautiful thing. You know, it's a beautiful thing. So, but love is an action. It's an action. It's a choice that a person is making time and time again to make those deposits into you. Whether they're tired, whether they're sick, whether somebody else is trying to distract them from you. So it's dedication as well. So love is a commitment. It's a commitment to pouring into you. hmm And that's a beautiful thing. Like, we do it with children, but there's different ways that love play out, of course. Parent and child relationship versus romantic, but the elements are similar. But you guys got to also understand marriage isn't just built on love, right? And that's why we talked about all those tips and things that need to happen. And I even went as far as to say, after hearing many sources of men talk about marriage, they put respect over the love. They didn't, they was like, I want the woman to respect me. Like, that was very high. That was number one. They want the respect even over your love, because they know how love can fluctuate. It fluctuates. It fluctuates as far as like feeling in love or just regular love. Like, it fluctuates. But the baseline of love, someone should be treating you good regardless as to their feelings. So, and respect is definitely that, because it just shows the person's character. And the other thing I wanted to say to you guys is, just be careful. And this is a part of doing the work before you get into the relationship, of not being a glutton for pain, or equating love with pain, or normalizing being in pain when when you're connecting that to love, and also normalizing mediocrity in people. And this is going to allow you to let people give you a bare minimum effort. Like, you're not giving me your best effort. Like, I want somebody's best effort. Like, you got to give me your best effort. I'm going to give you mine. I want that in return. So being able to choose is to understand that love is not pain. That's not, it's something that you could have learned in those other situations with narcissists. And you could equate it that way. And that's why people talk about struggle love and this and that. But we wouldn't have struggle love if people was like, okay, well, I'm not really in a position to have a wife. I can't afford a wife right now. What am I going to put you through that for? Right? And then why would you want to do it that way too? So just be careful. Just be careful, you guys. A lot of it is common sense. A lot of it is common sense and self-esteem. Like, you have those two things, common sense and self-esteem, and not being codependent, you'll be able to walk away. You'll command what you should, and you'll be logical. Like, it's simple. Like, I could tell you all these little things in between, but it's not complicated. It's not complicated. It just gets that way when, you're operating out of your shadow side and toxicity. You're not willing to walk away. You're not willing to see things for what it is. And you don't even have a clear direction and a clear picture of what it is that you need, and also making sure that your desires are rooted in the right things, so that your needs and priorities are in line with your light side versus your shadow side, So I hope that this is helping someone, you guys. I hope that is helping. Does anyone have any questions about choosing better and picking better people? And I did give this disclaimer in the beginning because, sometimes in the culture, when I say in the culture, is very vague. Like people get bullied and say, well, you should have chose better, because people aren't perfect and people pretend. And sometimes, even with our best efforts, we find out somebody wasn't who we thought they were, and that's why I had to reiterate in the beginning that we're never going to get a perfect person. And I also had to reiterate it, and nothing is still guaranteed. But, if we arm ourselves, we should be able to lower the odds, of being in dead end situations, not being reciprocated, not getting the commitment. And I think I almost said this earlier and I didn't finish my sentence where I was saying, give people, don't tell them the timeline. I would have a timeline in my head of how long I would give a person to go through certain stages with me. And if they see my work, they really into me, they're going to do it. This is how, and I'm not saying that you have to jump into anything, to each his own. You can figure that out for yourself. But I would be somebody's quote unquote girlfriend for years. Like it doesn't even really work that way in the Muslim community because it's a whole nother animal. But in a Western type of way, there's no way I'm going to do that. No. I need to see some type of deposits and consistency in this person to let me continue to extend them the opportunity to get closer to me, to work towards a proposal and whatnot. But I'm not giving somebody forever. Like when I hear people are together 8-10 years without marriage, I mean, if it was something that they claimed that they wanted, I'm going to question it at that point. You wanted to get married, but you guys didn't in 8 or 10 years? Like, that's crazy. There's no way I'm giving somebody that type of time unless I don't really want to get married and I just want companionship. And that's different. But if the goal is marriage, don't let anybody play with your time, because then they probably are using you for a placeholder without telling you. And a man will do that. They'll use you for a placeholder until they find what they really want, and then they'll be married to her within 3 months while they were with you for 2+ years and didn't even propose, didn't even talk about it. So don't let people play with your time either. Learn how to read the room. Learn how to, see what this person's behaviors are. If they're not really building intimacy with you, and this is beyond sex, you guys. You're not meeting important people in their life. They don't want to meet the important people in your life. Like you guys aren't having the important conversations. As a matter of fact, it's off the rip. If marriage is something that you are entertaining, don't talk to people. If you're on a dating website, for instance, and you're reading people's profiles and they say they're looking for something casual or just friends, that's the X right off the rip. Like you need right away, even from the dating profile, it needs to be looking for someone to be serious with, looking for someone to be married with. And you're reading their paragraph and it's ladies and this and that. Like this person is just trying to be for the street. Like what you talking about all these plurable ladies for? You should just be looking for that one person, really. What's all of this lady stuff? Like that person is trying to be passed around. Like you need to take the subtle cues even from the point of a dating profile, since I know that people go on those a lot. So like learn how to even use that. Look at the background of the pictures. Like, is he hanging out with a bunch of people? What type of sceneries? Like use everything to start before you even allow or heart this person back. Swipe right or whatever it is. Learn how to pick up the clues right off the rip so you can see what type time this person is on. And you could get right to those points. Like if they don't say what their intentions are, that could be what are you looking for on here? Let them answer that. And if it don't sound serious, You already know. I'm just trying to see where it can go. This is the type of, that's non-committal energy. You have to be able to recognize that energy when you hear it. People that are actually non-committal. Okay. Or if you meet a man, like, men get traumatized too. Like, if they had a recent divorce, probably not looking to settle down. If they unless they're a relationship junkie, like a narcissist, they'll jump from relationship to relationship. So you'll have to gauge that. Or if they talk to you about all these strings of women who broke them down and used and abused them, they probably have done the healing work at that point. They're bringing a lot of emotional baggage, and guess what? They'll be the person, that'll be the man. So he done got effed over. At least this is what he's saying, right? By all these women, and now here you come trying to be good to him. Who do you think gonna pay a price for all of that? So be careful when someone comes to you with a whole bunch of emotional baggage. They're just letting it be known right off the rip. And they keep talking about it like they need a therapist, like they need to be in therapy. They need to find another unhealed person and they could be toxic together, but don't let it be on your time. They should ideally, if he really is in that type of state, you should be privately in therapy, working with that stuff with a professional and trying very hard not to project that onto a new woman, because it should be a turn off to you. I know it would be for me. So just pay attention, and it doesn't hurt to Google a person's name and do a background check. Part of choosing better, you guys, is really not just taking people's word for it. It's so easy nowadays to find out stuff about people, especially once you have their first and last name and know where they were born or what area they live in. Oh my gosh, you can literally just Google it and so much information will pop up. You'll see their relative names, and child, I don't know if it's just me that's good at that or what, but child, and everybody's on Facebook. You'll find out all types of stuff. Seriously. So be investigated on the DL. On the DL. You gotta be all up, This is between me and you. That's a prayer notification. But yeah, you guys, just use your common sense and don't take everything that you hear as truth. We need to hear but verify, especially early on when we're trying to establish that this person is not catfishing you and they are, who they say they are. Verify. Use your common sense on how to verify. All right. All right, you guys, I think I'm going to stop there. I mean, we've been on for over an hour right now. I think that we've covered a lot of good stuff on how to have better pickers, Yeah. And see where the person come from. Ask about their background. Just see where they came from. And then once you see where they came from, if it's something toxic or dysfunctional, you'll be able to observe from them in your emotional maturity if they became like their environment or if they've worked through that, All right, you guys. You can do this. You can. Like I said, I think the first thing I said was you have to choose yourself first. All right. And protect yourself to the highest. And wasting your time, that should be something that you're running from doing. All right. And it is what it is. When you're an exceptional person, when you are really a king or a queen, everybody really can't sit down at your table. All right. So don't feel bad about having to reject or dismiss or deny. You have to do it. It comes with the territory. Cynthia says, thank you for all your wisdom you've been sharing. Yeah, girl, I wish that I had this wisdom in my 20s. I really do. It would have saved so much. It would have saved a lot of drama with me. Like, girl. Girl, I think with me, I've had in the past, I've had issues of going back to what didn't serve me, you know, and I had to learn. I had to learn. No, girl, no. The chances that they really changed were slim, and they didn't. And it was all temporary changes, and it was back to the status quo. Okay, so that's why I had to share with you guys earlier about having a fresh start, you know, because those people, especially when they know that you're an attractive person and you have options, they're not going to want to see you move on and be happy without them. So if they rather you suffer with them, okay, than to see you actually go on and get what they couldn't give you. Don't let nobody get in the way of that for you. Trust me, it happens. It happens. Do not take past people back. 99.9% of the time is a bad idea. They're just trying to block you from getting a happy ending because they're not going to get it. Because guess what? You were doing the work and they didn't. That's why you're getting these opportunities and they're not. They're going to get a bunch of karmics and they're going to repeat cycles because they actually didn't make the changes. But they want you to you're doing the work and they want you to revert back and take steps back. Like, I ain't even attracted to you the same. Don't even get it. You'll learn. But tell your daughter she do not have to learn the hard way. She could take some pearls of wisdom and prevent herself from wasting precious years and time out of her life. You know. Well, you still have time, girly, Cynthia. She says she's in her 50s now. I'm in my 40s. Child, it has been a journey for me. A journey. I'm like wondering, if I had my mother, would it have been different for me? That I have to learn so much in this area of love. You know, she passed away when I was 7. And I've had to learn through the hard knocks. You know, it's a little easier now because we can get a lot of information nowadays. But, you know, back when we were growing up, it wasn't so much, the internet wasn't popping like it is now. Cynthia says, I don't go out anymore and I don't really socialize, so I don't think I'll meet anyone anytime soon. Okay. Yeah, because that's what I can say as far as being seen. It's a woman's responsibility just to be seen because a man will approach you at that point. You don't have to, take the driver's seat. You don't have to do the chasing, none of that. Just put yourself in situations to be seen. And the man will do the rest. Child. Aw, really, Cynthia? Her mother passed away when she was 7 as well. Yeah, we're in that club. So you know what I'm talking about. Aw, my condolences, Cynthia. Yeah. But do you feel her energy around you? Because I know I feel my mother. She is very close with me, honey. Yeah. But yeah, a woman's job is really just to be seen. So yes, chances are he's not going to just come knock at your doorstep. So, there's confirmation. And my boo messaging me. So, yeah. Make sure you get seen. And the crazy thing is, men, they will come up to you in grocery stores, at the gas pump. Look. They'll come up at you at any time. Cynthia says, I go to church, I go grocery shopping, a movie here and there. I feel my grandmother who raised me. Okay. So your grandmother passed on and you feel her energy around you? She said, how did you meet someone? Girl, I meet people in all types of ways. Seriously, I could just be grocery shopping at the gas pump. I meet people everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. For me, it's never been about meeting people. It's just always been about picking the right person. So that's why, when I make a video about choosing better and having a better picker, honey, I be talking to myself. These are lessons that I've had to learn. These are lessons that I've had to learn. And I know how grueling it can be. Yeah. I meet people all everywhere I go. First of all, I'm 6'1", so I stand out. It's easy for me to be seen. I can't hide when I go places anyway. I'm taller than most women. I'm taller than the average man. So I just stand out. God, he just always made me to stand out one way or another. So I draw attention everywhere that I go, child. But yeah, I'm not really ready to divulge my personal life in that way yet. Maybe one day I'll hop into it a little bit more, but it's top secret for me right now. I have to be quiet about it because, girl, I have lots of haters, and I don't need that right now because, I meet a lot of good people. I meet a lot of good people. Like the energy, you'll see a shift, honestly. You'll still, like I said, everybody wants to be with Oprah, which they don't. But what I mean by that is everybody wants a successful person. But you'll see when you do the work on yourself, the type of men that gravitate towards you will change as well, generally speaking. Of course, there'll still be some that you got to sift through all of them, but you'll start seeing that their profiles, meaning how they lead their life, what they're into, different stuff, it'll start to be more in alignment with where you are. No, I don't dress up deli, and you don't have to be all zhuzhed up. As a matter of fact, a typical man will tell you that he likes to see a regular woman that's not all made up with the fake hair and the fake nails and a pound of makeup looking all caked up. And I know like some people have a Barbie doll look, and I'm not throwing a dart at that. I'm just telling you that most men will like to see you naturally. Now, everything else is just a bonus, but they would like to see actually what you really look like because that's what they're going to be waking up to. And I'm talking about a healthy-minded man, not a man that has bought into the Western standards of beauty and that's all he can get hard to. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just talking about a balanced man that's more centered and rooted and not following trends, if you will. So most men, they want to see you. Girl, I get the most attention. This is funny, right? I get the most attention when I'm just looking regular. It could be when I'm coming out of the gym, sweating. It could be me, I'm in a rush leaving from the supermarket. It could be then. Like, they come up to me at the darndest of times. And I've thought about this psychologically. Going up to a beautiful woman that's all made up is so intimidating for most men, even the good ones. It's a little intimidating. When you're in regular clothes and stuff, maybe that's less intimidating. That's what I'm thinking psychologically. But yeah, that's why a lot of beautiful women, like, they'll feel like their beauty is a gift and a curse. Like, we hear about the pretty privilege, but we don't hear about the opposite end of that spectrum. Like, if you're a beautiful person, a beautiful woman, externally right now is what I'm talking about, you're going to attract a lot of alpha males. You probably will attract the most narcissists. I'm serious. The more beautiful you are, because they will have the ego to come up to you. A lot of the good ones, they might assume that you're not even single. They will assume that you have all of these men. They're going to assume. And a lot of times these beautiful women be super duper lonely. Because what's the point of having so much quantity with no quality? It's like, okay, yes, I get a bunch of attention, but it's just sexual attention. Men are leading with their eyes with me, but it's not leading to substance. It's a fantasy. They just want to experience me, but they don't really want to keep me. So that's a lot of times what beautiful women will go through that. And I know firsthand. And that's why, that's another reason why I love Islam. The modest wear is great. And even then you can't hide but so much when you're a curvy person. But yeah. Cynthia says, I know too. I've been a long time follower of yours, so I know you have been on a journey and I respect it. Yes, girl. Yes. And I'm going to eventually write an autobiographical type book because I think my story is very interesting. You guys will be like, what? I think my life, even to date, would make a very juicy movie. I definitely have lived and I've been through some things, you guys, and it's been very interesting to say the least. But I'm glad I'm in one piece and I'm here, you know, strong minded and look, I'm thriving still. Cynthia says, yep, narcissists also on the down low and want to compete with beautiful women and destroy them. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. 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 Yeah, girl. Yeah. I watch my tongue a little bit because I know this is a public platform and everything that I think should not be said, but you're correct about that. You know, you're very correct about that. Yes, Cynthia, girl. But and and the crazy thing is, it's so innocent. Like in every stage of the juiciness, I was really just doing the best that I knew how to do. Like I'm serious. In all those stages, I was really just doing the best that I could, you know, and making the best decision that I thought I could make at the time. So, so I have no regrets. I don't. It is what it is. It is. And that's that. So, all right, you guys, I'm about to hop off of here. I have to go pray. I have to go pray and get on with my day and actually hop into finishing the book that I want to get out to you guys. Like, I have so many chapters left. Like, this is like an all encompassing book on how to be a narcissist's worst nightmare. I owe that book to you guys. I do. And I want to get it to you guys. Yeah. Cynthia says, I've been there and I understand. Yeah. And that's good. You guys have always been so sweet to me and I appreciate it. And as much as you feel like I give to you guys on here, you guys give to me. Like seriously, I don't talk to people like that. Like I get to socialize when I come on here in a better way. Like my friends, I can count them on one hand and I don't need all my fingers. I have a lot of associates. So when I come on here and I hang out with you guys and my Wendy Williams voice, you're definitely friends in my head. And you guys have shown me, in some cases, more love than my own family and so-called friends. Like it's crazy. And I've never even met you guys in person, but I get a lot of beautiful comments on here because I have over 1,000 videos. So at any given time, people can be watching videos I made 6 years ago. I'm still getting comments every day. And it's really nice to connect with you guys. You have no idea. Cynthia says, me too. How can we purchase your books? All right. Well, my books are available on Amazon.com and they're also available on BarnesandNobles.com. If you just type in the author Lakia Crawford, you'll see the 4 books that I've already written. I could tell you about each one right now because I don't want any confusion because one of the reviews left on one of my books, it was someone from the YouTube channel that thought the book was just about narcissistic abuse or something, and it wasn't because she knew me through this channel, but the book was really about getting through breakups, so it was still useful. All right, so I'll go over my books with you guys real quick because it's been a while since I did it. Hold on a minute. Because she liked the book, but she gave me a 3-star rating because it wasn't about narcissistic abuse. I was like, really, girl? That's not nice. I was like, she did that because I read the comments. She was like, well, I thought it was just going to be about narcissists. So, but the description doesn't even say that. So, all right. So the first book, you guys, that I ever released is called The X Factor Poetry Edition, Volume 1. That book is kind of like a tell-all. Like, I have a lot of emotions inside of that book. And I started writing it because through my healing process, I started a journal. Yes. And I started writing poetry about my feelings because at one time in my worst narcissistic abuse relationship, I was seeing 2 therapists at once, you guys. I was. And for 18 months, I did this. And, I was determined to not go through that situation again. I really had hit rock bottom. And I was sharing some of my work with one of my girlfriends. She was like, "This is really good. You should publish this." I was like, "You think so?" And she was like, "Yeah, girl." So I did. I got the body of work together. And for all of my books, you guys, I wrote it, I designed it, I edited it. Like, everything on that book is all me. So that first book, The X Factor Poetry Edition, The End of a Relationship is the beginning of a better relationship with yourself. So that book is to help people who are in the thick of a narcissistic abuse relationship or a toxic one, are pondering leaving it. So it's a journey through somebody else leaving a narcissistic abuse relationship. So by the end of the book, I've left it, but throughout the book, it's describing how I felt in that relationship. And the book is, it has 2 sides to it. It has the poetry, which is about 50 poems. And then I actually break down the meaning of my poems. And I know art is subjective. So whatever you get from the poem while you're reading it, that's great. But I also break down what I was relaying from my point of view on the second half of the book. So it's pretty cool. I've never seen a poetry book like that where they give you the poems and then break it down on the other half. But that's what I did on the X Factor. And it's really just to encourage people to embrace endings as new beginnings. Because a lot of people, they see breakups as this horrific thing. So this book is to encourage that in a creative, fun way, but also tapping into our emotions and how that made us feel and working through that. Because the second half of the book is breaking down the lessons that each poem is actually trying to relay. So that's my first baby. I love it. And yeah, so you could definitely check that one up. The second one is the X Factor Poetry Edition Volume 2. So it parlays off of the first book. In the first book, we're pondering the ending and we're getting to the ending. And then the second book is like day one of us leaving the relationship. So I pick up where I left off, and it says, now that you've left that toxic relationship, let's feel, reveal, and heal. So now we're going to tap into the feelings of what it feels like day one of no contact. And from the beginning of the poetry book, you're going to see as you gradually get through those poems, the energy is getting lighter and lifted as the person is doing the work. And by the end of that book, this person is in a healthy relationship again, with themselves and with another person. So it's an evolution with that one, with the X Factor Poetry Edition Volume 2. And it has a lotus flower on the front of that book because that one can grow. A lotus flower can grow in unsavory, what would I call it? Environments, through concrete or through areas that weren't really nurtured. This flower can still blossom. So I really wanted to use that flower on the front of this book. So that was pretty cool. The third book that I wrote, you guys, is called Silent Tears. And it says, Silent Tears, heal from sexual assault. You are not alone. You can reclaim your power. Your life still has purpose. So this is a therapeutic book for someone that has experienced sexual assault. And some people are a little bashful. They don't want to go talk to a therapist. They don't want to talk to anybody. They barely want to talk to God about it or themselves. So this is a book that you can have, and it has exercises in it. And it's just my way of walking this person through having a healthier mind frame and doing the healing work of getting past sexual trauma so that they could have a healthy sex life and not be stuck in a grieving process or, feeling exploited, taken advantage of from the sexual abuse. So that's why I made Silent Tears. And I'm a survivor of sexual assault myself, you guys. And I named the book Silent Tears because when I was writing this book, I would cry at my desk at work. And there's silent tears because no one else seen the tears but me. So there were times where I would have a moment in my healing process. This was during the 18 months of therapy, extensive therapy, that, I would have these moments. Like I had worked myself from panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and I addressed this in the beginning of the channel for people who've had that PTSD. And, I've talked about this earlier on in the channel, how to heal from having anxiety attacks, because I've had a 2-hour one. That was my worst one. And I haven't had them in years, thank God. But yep, Silent Tears. It's a good book. And a few survivors told me that they got it. And it has helped them a lot. Now, the next book that I wrote, you guys, is called The Beauty of the Eye. Come on a poetic journey of experiences in a third eye world. So this book is more about my emotional maturity and how I see the world, the good, the bads, and, or the ugly, and the beauty of it. And some of it, like a couple of the poems, are a little bit personal about my life, but the rest of it is like my perception of the world. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, you guys. And that was really fun. I even made a poem for Prince on there. Yeah, that's pretty dope. But I highly recommend it. That was a fun one right there. Now, the book that I'm writing now, you guys, is an academic one. So this book is going to have over 100 chapters of how to be a narcissist nightmare. Not by stooping to their level, but by being fully prepared for anything, pretty much. Like I'm going to address all types of ways that you could meet them. I'm basically emptying my brain of emotional maturity out into this book. I've been writing it for some time, you guys, and I can't wait to get done with it. I'm going to put it in different languages, and I'm really going to promote this in a different way than I promoted my other books. Like this one right here is definitely going to be my legacy to the narcissistic abuse community. So I have a lot of work to do with this because I have a lot of chapters left. Because like I said, over 100 and something chapters. It's a lot because I'm trying to cover everything that I could think of pretty much because I want people to have an all-encompassing doctrine to help with this. They are free to watch my videos and they're definitely free to have the book too. And I'll make sure I make an ebook version as well. So I'll make a hard copy and an ebook version. But that's what I have working on right now, and maybe 2 other books in time. But I really got to get this How to Be a Narcissist Nightmare book. I want to get that one completed before I hop into another project and break my time up that much more. So I want to finish that, and I probably have 2 more books inside of me for sure. So after that, though, because I got to get that done. But yeah, on Amazon.com, you guys can, let me see, just look up Lakia Crawford. Let me see. Can I change my banner? I think I can. Okay. Yep. Jeez, that's big. Well, there's the author name right there. If you search me on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, you'll see those books pop up. Okay. And enjoy them. It made me really happy. And after I did like 3 of them, my second cousin, which is my mother's first cousin, he was like, your mom always wanted to write a book. I was like, no way. It made me feel even better about it. Like, what? Mom, we did it. We did it, Mom. We done wrote 4 of them. How about that? So that just made me feel even more confirmed. All right, you guys. All right. Hold on. Cynthia has, yes, please get the book out. Yes. Yeah. It's going to help a lot of people, Cynthia. Cynthia says, how do you go on publishing on the publishing journal? I have just started writing my story and I had, the publishing journey is what you mean, right? And I have just started writing my story and I have no clue. Okay. Yeah, I should make a content for that. But I just start out in Microsoft Word. I wrote a outline of what I wanted the chapters, like the flow of things per se. And then right in Microsoft Word, I start writing it. But as far as the publishing, I'm self-published and I use Amazon KPD. Amazon KPD is what I use to publish all of my books. If you Google that, they'll walk you through letting you know how to do it. I mean, you could literally set it up before it's ready to be published. Even you could. I typically don't do that. I did that with one book before, but I usually turn in them when I'm about ready to publish, basically. But yeah, I did mine through Amazon. It used to be CreateSpace, but then they switched it over to Amazon. And I like going through them because, at least for the projects that I have done, they make the book to print. So, I mean, and you can order it from them at a very discounted rate. Like if you wanted to sell it on your own website as well, per se, and not just through them exclusively, or if you did a book tour or you wanted to take your books somewhere, like I put my books in libraries. I've done all types of fun things with it. Like I went back to a shelter that I stayed in when I was homeless. I took my books there too, because a lot of those women have gone through abuse. So, it's a lot of things that you could eventually do once you get there. But yep, I started out in Microsoft Word and I use my Amazon KPD. Now, if you want to do something more than that, you could, like, maybe with this this book, I'll decide if I wanted to like send it to a publisher, But I think I could handle it myself, do my marketing, because I'm going to put this one on billboards. I'm going to do a lot of Instagram ads and TikTok ads. And I'm really going to push this book in a way that I didn't do with the others. But the success of this book will draw attention to the other ones anyway, as people get to know me as an author. So, but I'm really going to push this one. So, but I hope that helps you a little bit. But you can always email me, Cynthia at coachlakia@gmail.com. And, I'm willing to help you there as well. All right. So everybody, please take care. It was great. It doesn't look like I'm missing anybody's messages. It was great talking to you guys. And like I said, I hope it helps someone. Take care, you guys. And what is this? Cancel. Oh, you can add more items. I'm still learning how to use StreamYard. Yeah. Keep investing in yourselves and do what you got to do. Sometimes it is like Nike and you just got to do it, right? All right, you guys, choose better, pick better by being better. All right, take care. I love you, and I will see you in the next live chat. You're welcome, Seashell 200.